Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic, and I want to welcome you to my channel, Opinion Stated, where I give unfiltered, opinionated sports takes. Let's go. Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic. I want to welcome you back to my channel, Opinion Stated. And if you've already seen the thumbnail, man, I'm not even going to drag this out. This is literally an episode simply to recap NBA Friday night. So happy that the NBA season is back and we have games to watch and games to enjoy and games to dissect and teams to critique and players to critique and players to hate and players to love. Some of you are happy in NBA fandom, and some of you are hating life right now within this first couple of days of the season. But it gets better. Trust me. Take your time. It's going to be a long season, man. So, and kind of holding true to my 2024-2025 preseason or premature season predictions, I want to just kind of make sure that we go on this journey together. So I'm going to talk about mostly the televised games because I have highlights from those. And then, the others, I'll just kind of look at the box score and, just kind of try to talk through the box score since I didn't see the game. I just kind of highlight some of the things that I noticed from the box score, and then some things that, I'm just kind of look, odd or off or that I assume were the cause of loss or win. So without further ado, again, this NBA Friday night recap. Was your team a winner or a loser? Let's find out. So just taking a look, the scoreboard for Friday night, and we saw the Magic defeat the Nets 116-101. The Toronto Raptors defeated the Philadelphia 76ers 115-107. Hawks defeated the Hornets 125-120. Cavaliers beat Pistons by 113 to 101. And the highlighted game that I'll get into with highlights, etc., was one of two televised games last night on ESPN. The Knicks just destroyed the Pacers 123-98. Next, we saw the Rockets actually beat the Grizzlies, surprisingly, kinda shockingly. You know what I mean? The Rockets destroyed the Grizzlies 128-108. Bulls, what game of the night? The Bulls beat the Bucks, man, 133-122. Wow, just wow. Warriors just completely mollywopped the Jazz 127-86. Dog walked them people. As to be expected. The Utah's, I don't know what the hell's going on with Utah. Utah seemed to have gone back to like the 90s or something. You know what I mean? Only putting up 86 points in today's NBA is weird, but we'll get into, what I assume to be the reason why. We saw the second of the televised games that I'm going to provide highlights, etc., and some analysis from was the Lakers versus the Suns. So that was a very entertaining game, tale of two halves, but we'll talk about a little bit more here soon. Also, the Pelicans defeated the Trailblazers 103-105, and surprisingly, a pretty good game. I think when I saw the ticker flash across the bottom, the Trailblazers were actually up in like the third quarter. I was like, man, Trailblazers about to beat the Pelicans. This is wild. But that's what happened. So let's dig into the first of the televised games. I want to get into some highlights from the Knicks and the Pacers. So that game for me had me excited, going into the game because I was just assuming that it was going to be a good matchup. You know what I mean? Like a rematch of what took place in the playoffs last season. And I just expected Indiana and New York, just to be a good overall matchup for Friday night. I was excited, as the week went on about the prospects of this game, but it didn't quite, meet up to the billing for me or what I built up for myself, I guess I'll say. I was a bit disappointed. I don't think that the NBA had that game on the other night because they thought it was going to be a trash matchup either. I think everybody was expecting it to be much better, but Tyrese Halliburton just didn't show up in the game. He shot 0 of, I believe, 6 in the first half, 0 for 8 for the game, which was wild to me. I was just like, man, where's Tyrese Halliburton? I don't know where his head was. I don't know what the cause of his just complete goose egg that he laid, last night, but, on to the Knicks side of things. Before I jump over to the Knicks side of things, I said this, as I said, I'm trying to stay true to my theme of the predictions that I made leading into the 2024, this 2025 season. And one thing that I noted when I was talking about the Indiana Pacers was that guys like Ben Mathurin would have to step up this season, and he certainly did in last night's game, which we'll get into. But overall, it was the Knicks' first game, so their home opener at Madison Square Garden. Karl Anthony Towns, as you guys can see on these highlights, these are not even like Knicks Pacers highlights. These are the Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges highlights because they totally shined in this game. So he and Mikal Bridges made their debut at MSG. And man, they had amazing games. I mean, these brothers literally just put on for New York. They would not be denied. I was happy to see, Cat play a little more aggressive, as I mentioned in the last video from, kind of recapping Tuesday night's opening season game. But again, that's why this is a very long season, and you can't really jump to conclusions one way or the other, or you know what I mean, just kind of just get ahead of yourself or ahead of your skis with critiques that are just being too critical, I guess I would say, of your team or of any team one way or the other. But in this game, obviously Karl, came out and put a stamp on it. I remember hearing during one of the commercial breaks, Miles Turner, the center from the Indiana Pacers, talk about how he and Karl's playing against each other goes back to high school. So this was just kind of really fun for them to match up together. So I don't know if he needs to match up against Miles Turner every single game, man. But Cat definitely played a big game. He and Mikal Bridges. Let's get into the box score. Mikal Bridges dropped 21 points in this game, like I said, 1 rebound, 5 assists. You know what I mean? Cat 21 points and 15 rebounds. 21 points and 15 rebounds. So a huge game for him, anchor in that middle. Jalen Brunson, obviously 26 points, 5 and 5. So he did a very good job. Josh Hart came up kind of lame limping on a hamstring in the first quarter. So I thought he would be, toast for the night. But 20 points for him in the game and 14 points from Anunoby, who I think only had like 2 or 4 points in the first game earlier this week. So I was happy to see him, get himself together in this game. But New York, as I said, just dominated this game from start to finish. It was an all New York, contest. Indiana just, I don't know, they came out, I won't even say lethargic. They just seemed like they didn't even come out of the locker room, for many points of the game. So, but we can get into some of their stats. I just wanted to really quickly, before I leave this box score, say that New York shot 52.4% from the field and 44% from three. So they knocked down 12 threes in this game, shot 12 of 27 for nearly 45%. Indiana, I mean, like I said, Ben Mathurin, 20 points off the bench. Their bench scored more points than the starters. It was a really weird game for Indiana. I don't know. They shot 10% from three. I can't even remember ever seeing a team shoot so poorly from three. But I know that this is a very high volume NBA that we're taking a look at now and getting a chance to enjoy. So it's definitely, a 3-point centered, offensive league, it seems, nowadays. But to shoot 3 of 30 is it's bananas. I'm like, what? 3 of 30. And like I said, Ben Mathurin had, two of those 3. So he shot 2 for 5 from 3 himself. The other 3 in the game came from a bench player as well. So, starting, backcourt did not hit a 3. But that's about it, man. It's notable from, this side of the box score for Indiana. Moving right along. Sorry, Indiana fans. You know what I mean? Like, I know last night was maybe gut wrenching for you guys, but I guess it's a very early season. And you know what I mean? I'm certain that Indiana rather will be able to get themselves, in more of a better rhythm, chemistry wise, etc. They'll figure it out. They should. They had a really, really good season last year. Last night was just not so good. On to the next game. The Brooklyn Nets were defeated by Orlando, 116-101. Just taking a look at the Brooklyn Nets side of the box score. Cam Thomas, obviously that kid's a bucket. But he scored 24 points, I'll say, on 17 shots, which is heavy and high volume for him. The Dennis Schroeder actually dropped 20 points in the game last night, which was shocking to me. I was like, I didn't even know Dennis Schroeder was out there. So Dennis Schroeder had 20 points. You know what I mean? But that's essentially it from, like the box score side of things for them. They shot 37% from three, nearly 38% on 42% shooting from the field, 37 rebounds. They were actually out rebounded only by 2 rebounds on the Orlando side of things. But Orlando, shot 50% from three and shooting 52% from the field, led by Franz Wagner's 10 of 19 shooting night, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, had 29 points. So Franz was clearly that dude last night versus Brooklyn. They had no answer for Franz. His brother Mo tapped in with 18 points from the bench, and as second leading scorer. So the Wagner brothers were in total control of this game. Paolo Banchero on 4 of 13 shooting only had 15 points in the game, but 15.6 boards and 9 assists. So that was the Brooklyn game. Orlando, I was really high on, leading into the season as well. So I expected them to be one of the playoff teams. They're starting off so far 2-0. So again, they have such a good balance of players. With Caldwell Pope, there with them this year. He poured in 10 points. Jalen Suggs had 10 as well. So I expect them to be a solid and decent team this year. Not, anybody's favorite to win at all. But I expect them to definitely, pull out a good number of games in victory this season. Moving on to the Cleveland and Detroit game. Cleveland defeats Detroit 113-101. I'll be a 12-point win. It's not really like that. Like, oh my God, they just smashed them. They didn't. I don't know, like how close the game was throughout, because again, I didn't watch this game. It wasn't televised. But what stood out to me most was that Cade Cunningham had 33 points in the game on 14 of 24 shooting, 14 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists to be exact. And Jaden Ivey had 22 points in the game. So, their starting backcourt, they're really, really good. Everybody else was basically a no-show. They had better than half the points for the Detroit team, and that's why I just didn't figure that Detroit would be a very good team once again this season. I think they'll make their strides towards kind of blending and gelling more as a team, and they'll figure some things out to be perhaps a team that makes some noise next season or the season after. But on the Cleveland side of things, take a look at this Cleveland box score and just how balanced the scoring is from their starting five. Literally from the bench, they just had one player in double figures, so 6 players in double figures in the game. But overall, it was the balanced scoring of their starting five. So I do really like this Cleveland team. I talked about it in that preseason predictions video as well, that I'm just high on them based on what they did last season, and then them kind of running it back, with the team that they have. Everybody contributes and understanding their role. If they continue to get the balanced attack from everybody, and they can kind of trust and rely on everybody, I think their result will continue to be much of the same this season. Clearly, they'll run up against teams that they're just outmatched, by, like some of the juggernauts in the league, like the Bostons, etc. But I think that they can give anybody some go, and we'll see how that continues to go for the season. They shot 38% from 3 and 51% from the field on the night. So not a bad night for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland, this is for you. Donovan Mitchell and Wade actually led the team with 19 total points in that contest. Moving on to the Memphis and Houston game. Shocker. I wasn't expecting Houston to just beat the dog shit out of Memphis. I was like, man, what the hell happened? Maybe perhaps Ja Morant didn't play. Surprise, Ja Morant did play. Led Memphis in scoring with 24 points. And man, they just got smashed. You know what I mean? 10 of 28 from 3 for the team. So they shot 35.7% from 3, which is somewhere about the league average. So, they didn't shoot terrible from 3, only 41% from the field. That's horrible. You know what I mean? So clearly they just needed some more shots. I don't know where they were defensively. Desmond Bain poured in 17 points as well. Zach Edey had 13 points and 9, the rookie. So they had, like some scoring, but clearly not enough for this Houston mob. Shout out to Ime Udoka. These boys, they're once again, like the last game, I talked about this balanced attack offensively from the starters. And take a look at Houston's as well, the same exact thing. 22 points for Jalen Green, 16 apiece for Fred VanVleet and Sengun, and even Dylan Brooks had 18 points. You know what I mean? Jabari Smith had 14. Was scoring from the bench as well. They would only shoot 39.5% from 3 on 17 of 43, but nearly 44% from the field, 43 of 98. So again, it's just a balanced attack from the scoring and also their bench scoring. They were just too much for the Memphis team last night. So I expected Memphis to, going back to Memphis really quick, I expected Memphis to, potentially be one of those play-in teams, out of the West, because I just felt like it's going to take them some time to ramp themselves back up and get, back into the flow of things. But once they hit their stride, I think they'll be pretty good. They start off the season 1-1 so far, and Houston, that was Houston's very first win of the season so far as well last night. So they are 1-1 or 1-1 as well. So again, I was saying shout out to Ime Udoka for coaching this young team and getting them to believe the Memphis win is it's not a it's, they're playing a horrible team, so yeah, they got to win. I didn't even have Houston in the play-in situation rather, but Houston was one of my sleeper teams that I feel like can potentially make enough noise down the stretch, depending on how the injuries go for all teams. But then just depending on how well they played very well down the stretch last season as a young team, but very well coached by Ime Udoka. So Houston fans, you might have something to really, really, really be excited about this season. They might be, not just a sleeper to me, but a sleeper to some of these other teams that might not take them as serious as they need to. So they might be able to pull out some games and possibly squeak into that play-in situation. Let's take a look at the Chicago-Milwaukee game. Like I said in the intro, in my what the fuck game of the evening, I was certainly not expecting Chicago to beat the dog out of Milwaukee. Just how, bro? Like, what happened? Lucy, what happened? Let's take a look at Chicago's box score to lead out. Kobe White, you know what I mean? Like, Kobe White, man, 35 points in the game, 35, 6, and 5 to be exact, on 12 of 20 shooting, 7 of 13 from 3. Kobe came out and gave them people's the business last night. That worked. Zach LaVine dropped 25 in the game as well. And Vucevic had 22 in the game, 22 and 10 rebounds to be exact. So the team, again, that balance scoring from your starters, you know what I mean? It's kind of a theme running here. If you can get production from all 5 starters, man, you're in good space, a very, very good space. And it definitely gives you a better chance of being able to win a basketball game. 44.7% they shot from 3 on 21 of 47. Shooting 47 threes in a game is fucking insane. Like, that's a lot of threes to be shooting, man. This NBA is utterly and completely different from that, which I grew up watching, and you know what I mean, the brand of basketball that I grew up playing also. But I'm here for it, man. I like change. Change is not always bad. They shot 47.9 rather from the field as well, with 46 of 96 shots made. Even being able to get up nearly 100 shots in a game, that's crazy. That's crazy. It's wild. So 49 looks like 49 field goals, 2-point field goals they were able to get up, and then 47 threes, to get them to that number. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. So man, again, that amount of shots to get up is crazy. Nearly 100 shots in a game, spells a lot of potential offense for a team. And you know what I mean? The fact that they were able to knock down shots efficiently, I'm certain that led. But let's take a look at the box score for Milwaukee, and maybe the box score will tell us something. First thing that I see that jumps out, I'm not even looking at the players. I'm looking at the 3-point shooting percentage for the Bucks. Man, they shot 13 of 40, 32.5%. That's a wrap. You know what I mean? Like, that's it, man. They shot 49, nearly 50% from the field. So they got up 93 shots in the game, but clearly the tail of the tape was just not being able to hit enough threes. You know what I mean? To keep the game as close, or to actually just get them over the top. The other team hits more threes than you hit twos, you know what I mean? Or hits more threes than you hit threes, and you guys score the same amount of 2-point field goals. Man, it just is what it is. The math don't lie. 38 points in the game from Giannis, 38 and 11 to be exact, 38, 11 rebounds. Damian Lillard poured in 28 points, 8 assists. So they did what they do. Looks like, let me see. It looks like, there's no Chris Middleton. Oh, interesting. So I say that because I was having a conversation with my friends a couple of nights, or my friend circle, and one of whom, who was actually in constant communication via text yesterday about Milwaukee, and Milwaukee actually going the way of Chris Middleton. You know what I mean? So if Chris Middleton is healthy on court, it actually makes the game easier for Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Not that it just like they need Chris Middleton out there because clearly their production is still high without Chris. But when Chris Middleton is out there because he must be respected as an offensive player, their game becomes more fluid. So they can put up actually higher numbers with Chris being there because Chris has to be respected. So there's no cheating off of them. There's no, you know what I mean? Like they get a more of a balanced attack as well. And just Chris's production overall, man, means so much to Milwaukee's offense from championship years on, up. He struggled a lot with his health over the last couple years, and I'm not exactly sure why he didn't play in this game. I don't know. Maybe he's injured already. I don't know, but I have to do some research now. I didn't even pay attention to that prior to, you know what I mean, like filming this video because I just assumed that he played. But anyway, Chicago beat the shit out of Milwaukee. God damn, bro. The hell, Milwaukee. That was Chicago's first win of the season. Milwaukee's first loss. Next game, Golden State dog walk Utah. Again, Utah has seemed to flash back, man, into like the 1990s version of Utah, like Karl Malone, or just the 1990s version of the NBA. So you cannot win in this league putting up 86 points. You cannot. And Golden State shot 20 of 50, you know what I mean, from the field. And 51 of 106, so 48% from three. It's 20 points from Steph Curry, 20 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. Led the way of the starters. But the top scorer of the evening for them was Buddy Hield, who poured in 27 points on 10 of 14 from the field and 7 of 9 from three. So Buddy clearly came out and played like, oh, Buddy, 4 rebounds and 6 assists for Buddy also. So very solid off the bench. You know what I mean? Like I almost expected Buddy Hield to be a starter this year, and the way he's playing off the bench, obviously they need that scoring impact off the bench. So maybe they'll keep him coming off the bench. But I feel like Jonathan Kuminga for the ups, side that he has, and for the leap that I was expecting him to take, as I talked about in that predictions video, I still think he's better suited coming off the bench right now. And that's just because I don't know, maybe it's, you know what I mean, because it's what I've seen, but he just seems like that player that needs to kind of watch the flow of the game first, and then he goes out as a spark. So they might need to flip flop Buddy Hield and Kuminga, man, in that starter in those starting roles. They got good production from Moses Moody and from Podziemski off the bench with 12 and 15 respectively. But yeah, just too much Golden State, man. Just way too much Golden State. On the Utah side of things, they only shot 21.4% from three. So I mean, damn, 9 of 42 from three, 9 of 42% from three. Maybe at some point you just gotta stop shooting threes. You know what I mean? Like, man, these things ain't falling. We gotta do something else. But 9 of 42 will underscore 50 shots inside of the arc, for them. So they shot just 29 of 92 overall for the game, 31.5% from the field in this game. There's no way you're beating anybody shooting 31.5% and 21.4% from three. But Golden State forces you to kind of play at their pace unless you can control pace. And yeah, nothing from this box score aside from the team stats, are even worth mentioning. Sorry, Utah, fans. Man, just very humdrum, very, very poor performance, around the board for the Utah Jazz last night. But let's take a look at the other televised game, highlights from the other televised game in LA. And, this was the tale of two halves, you know what I mean, in a game. This is why I can remember, some of my favorite coaches and some of the best coaches that I ever played for emphasizing repeatedly that this is a game that's 4 quarters long. You know what I mean? Like the game is not won or lost in the first quarter. You can get down, big, or you can get up big, but it's not actually over until it's over. So we're playing 4 quarters of basketball, fellas. I will hear that so much. But the Phoenix Suns jumped out to a early 22-point lead, just raining down threes from everywhere. You know what I mean? On what I consider the south end of the basket at Crypto. And man, they just couldn't miss. I mean, they were swinging the ball around, so there was a lot of motion and swinging, a ball swinging in, the offense for them in the first quarter, where they got off to a really, really, really fast start. And then in the second quarter, you know what I mean? Like it was kind of much of the same at the beginning until the tide, kind of changed a little. They go into half only up by 9. You know what I mean? So the Lakers went on a bit of a run to close the first half. And at halftime, as they went up, went into the half only up by 9, I was personally thinking like, man, I don't think Phoenix is going to win this game. And I was texting, you know what I mean, my buddies prior to that, when Phoenix went up 22, like, man, Coach Bud got Phoenix looking good. You know what I mean? And so I I was kind of shocked that the Lakers were able to walk the lead down. But what happened in the second half was much of the same. So just kind of role reversal, flip flop, much of the same of what was happening in the first half. Not only did the Lakers, continue to come back and chip away at that 9-point lead, but then they took the lead and kind of teetered between up 4, down 2, etc. Before the Lakers just ultimately took the lead in the second half for good. What the Lakers did in the second half, kudos to JJ Redick and kudos to the Lakers just for being active hands, being more hungry and more aggressive on the glass. They just caught Phoenix, just sleep, a bunch. It just seemed like Phoenix was just sleeping behind the wheel. The Lakers definitely got to the loose balls and got on the offensive glass, more aggressively than did Phoenix. And they also, adopted what Phoenix was doing in the first half at that same south end of the basket. You know what I mean? Where they were just kind of just swinging the ball around and trying to find the open man. So they got everybody involved. It's almost like the Lakers looked at what Phoenix was doing and said, hey, man, we forgot. That's our game plan too. And they just began to adopt it. And Phoenix just, started to do this kind of one-on-one thing, which typically you'll see happens when a team gets a large lead. I played on many teams, man, where we got up big and all of a sudden everybody's like, man, we up big. Let me get mine too. And you forget about the game plan and then the team kind of walks it back. Maybe as a conspiracy theory, the basket on the south end of crypto is like a little wider because Phoenix was able to knock down trades at will down there. And then when the Lakers got there, they started raining down trades in the second half, right? Maybe, at the north end, that basket down there where the Lakers started and where Phoenix ended, maybe that's like one of those carnival style. Maybe the rim's like kind of bent or weird or so. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like there's a conspiracy, right? But no, actually, the Lakers just played very well. Shout out to JJ Redick for getting his second career victory as a head coach. I believe it was said after the game that this was the first time that the Lakers started with a 2-0 records in 13 years. You know what I mean? Since like Phil Jackson's last season. So, kudos to JJ, man. He got his fellas to literally, as he will probably be heard saying in the post game presser, that let's take a look at the box score, that he, got buy-in from all of his guys. And it certainly appeared that he got buy-in from everybody, man. They bought into the game plan last night and really made it happen. So, yeah, like I said, take a look at the box score. Starting off with just, the Phoenix side of things. Like I said, in that first half, man, Kevin Durant played big. Devin Booker played big. And also Bradley Beal played big. So their big three definitely showed up in the first half. Second half, a little less production from Brad, who I believe, had about 10 points in the first half, somewhere thereabout, or maybe had equal production, 8, and then 8 points in the first half, 7 points in the second half. But yeah, it was just Kevin Durant finished the game with 30 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Devin Booker finished the game with 23 points. I'll say 21 points because he just kind of stole a layup there with the last 15 seconds of the game, which was trash of him to do. But yeah, nothing really impressive from an offensive standpoint for Phoenix after they kind of got away from their game plan. So I'm certain that that's something that they'll have to correct. Obviously, they have to correct it. 17 of 37 they shot from three with nearly 46% from deep, and then 42 of 82 from the field overall. So 51.2% from the field. Let's take a look at the victors here. The LA Lakers. Laker Nation, stand up, man. You have a lot to be excited about with this team. Anthony Davis, once again, is a beast, bro. The best player on the LA Lakers team is Anthony Davis. He poured in another incredible game with 35 points and 8 rebounds. He had 36 and 16 in like game 1, I believe. So AD's right there, 35.5 points a game as a season average. He should be leading the league in scoring. I would just assume, but yeah, AD is, man, in beast mode so far. Hachimura gave him 14 points in that starting lineup. LeBron would ultimately get to 21 points in the game, 4 rebounds and 8 assists after only scoring 4 points in the first half. So a much better second half for LeBron. Knocked down a couple open threes to spark or to kind of help sustain that run that they were on and to get things moving. Austin Reeves had an incredible game yesterday. I mean, this dude 5 of 7 from three, 8 of 12 overall from the field, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, and 26 points. So Austin Reeves was that guy. 59 or 51.9% from three is what the Lakers shot overall, 14 of 27 and 40 of 75 overall. So they shot 53% from the field. It's a great game. Like I said, man, it was just a really good game. It's really entertaining to watch. I was kind of curious to see if Phoenix would figure it out and then they make a game of it down the stretch. But yeah, the Lakers were in control, for the most part down the stretch. And from 9 minutes on, I feel like in the fourth quarter. On to the Toronto Philly game. No Joel Embiid, no Paul George. Man, Philly has a problem. No, they really do. But let's start with the box score. 28 points for Kelly Oubre. Shout out to Kelly Oubre. That's my guy. And Tyrese Maxey. I was saying that I thought that Tyrese Maxey in that predictions episode that I did, I said that I thought that Tyrese Maxey would lead the league in scoring this year because, by virtue of him kind of having to, right? Not that he be relied on to score more points with Paul George and with Joel Embiid in the lineup. But I guess I was just kind of predictively assuming or thinking that with the one of the other, of the big three being out, you know what I mean, and Tyrese Maxey, being firm in his role, that he just by virtue of, just needing to be more productive would end up leading the league in scoring. But, so far, so not seeming like I'm Nostradamus here. But he did score 24 points last night. They needed much more from him in this game. So, you know what I mean? A 35-point game from Tyrese, you know what I mean? With, an additional 9 points puts them over the top. You know what I'm saying? So they definitely need more production from him to figure some things out. Kelly Oubre showed up to do his job. And one thing that I wanted to point out for certain was the rebounding disparity in this game. So I'd say, first of all, they shot 31% from three, which is horrible, 9 of 29. Only 38.2% from the field at 29 of 76. And they only grabbed 28 rebounds in this game. Only 28 rebounds. And why do I say only 28 rebounds? Andre Drummond, self-proclaimed best rebounder in the history of the game, only had 9 rebounds in the game. So 11 points, 9 rebounds. But moving on to the other side, I said 28 rebounds for Philly. Toronto, let's just take a look at their rebounds off top. 54 rebounds. Toronto almost doubled them up in rebounds, bro. Literally almost doubled them up in rebounds. So Toronto was just cleaning glass out there. So that's a problem. That's definitely problematic. You know what I mean? So grabbing more boards could have definitely, helped them win this game, but they just got smashed on the glass. 27 points from my guy, Scotty Barnes. Again, I said in that prediction show, man, I'm big on Scotty Barnes this season. I'm very high on Scotty. I love this dude. So his 27 points of production definitely helped Toronto get their first win of the season last night. 19 points for Jakob Poeltl. Had a good game, also 19 and 9 to be exact. So there was just great bench production from them as well. They only shot 26% from three, being the Toronto Raptors, 6 of 23. Not taking, only taking 23 threes sounds crazy when you consider that's at a team like Golden State shot 47, 47 threes, you know what I mean? But hey, man, they worked for him last night. 35 of 76 shooting from the field overall to finish at 46.1. So they definitely stole one last night. It was probably that rebounding disparity that helped them the most. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure how many of those were offensive rebounds, but certainly a lot of those led to second chance points, which you got to be able to rebound the basketball to win in this league. Also, moving on to the next box score, let's take a look at the Atlanta Hawks, who defeated the Charlotte Hornets 125-120. Is what it is. Charlotte's got 34 points from LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball with his 34 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. You know what I mean? It's a very solid stat line. 27 points from Bridges in this game. You know what I mean? Like, is decent. But, not enough to get it done. They shot 41% from three, 38% from the field. But on the Atlanta side of things, man, Trae Young poured in 38 points, 8 rebounds, and 10 assists. 38. 8-10. So Trey was wholly solid last night. Um, just a just an incredible, obviously, showing from Trey Young. 14 of 38 they shot from three, so just 36.8%, almost 37%, and 39 of 81 overall, so only 48, or not only 48, but 48% from the field, just to squeak that victory out. The Atlanta Hawks, just in keeping true to my statements about and constantly mentioning that 2024-2025 predictions episode on my channel. I have Atlanta, ranked like super low. You know what I mean, like on that list, because I just wasn't sure exactly what Atlanta was going to do this season, having lost um, DeJounte Murray. And I was like, yeah, I have no idea what they're going to do. So I think I had them somewhere like 12th. You know what I mean? But presently 2-0. So again, I don't mind being wrong. If I'm to be wrong this season, maybe Atlanta will continue to make noise. Clearly, they figured it out last night. Next game and the final game of the night. Speaking of DeJounte Murray, DeJounte Murray's New Orleans Pelicans 105-103 victory over Portland. And Zion Williamson poured in 16 points, 16 and 11 rebounds, 7 assists. I mentioned in that predictions video that I wanted to see Zion increase his rebounds. I'm like, bro, his greatest comp is that of Charles Barkley. So if he can just hit the glass some more with his size, with his ability to jump, like, he should be getting way more than just like 5 rebounds a game. So clearly, he did a great job on the glass last night, nearly a triple double. 21 points from Brandon Ingram. If you know what I mean, like, and have been tapped in, you guys know I'm really high on BI. I've been a fan of Brandon Ingram since the Lakers years. I was really upset with the Lakers for letting him go, because I'm not a Laker fan. I just thought that he would be a better fit, you know what I mean, for what they needed to be doing offensively. But I'm certain New Orleans isn't mad to have Brandon Ingram in his production in New Orleans. 21 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists for BI, 20 points for CJ off the bench. 20 points from CJ in the starting lineup, 24 points from Hawkins off the bench, 12 of 31. They shot from three, so just 38%, 38.7, almost 39%, 42% from the field overall at 32 and 70, 32 for 76. So the Portland side of things, obviously I have Portland ranked super low when I was talking about or speaking about that predictions and my predictions for the season, because I just anticipated them to not be a very good team, because they're so young that they would still need some time to kind of figure it out. That they'll see, obviously they'll win some games, and they'll see some good sparks for themselves, but they can pretty much just kind of pack it in, you know what I mean, until next season. But we'll see what happens. 34 points they got from Jeremy Grant, and 24 points from Anthony Simon. So they got some pretty decent production. 10 points, 15 rebounds from DeAndre Ayton, and but just not enough, you know what I mean, obviously to squeak this game out. 37% they shot from three on 13 of 35 shooting, and 33 for 78 overall from the field, 42.3 from the field. We'll see what happens with this young Portland team. Again, I don't expect them to really win anything. I was really high, obviously, on New Orleans, thinking that they'll finish somewhere around middle of the pack again in the Western Conference. They've started out now 2-0. I just love Zion. Obviously, I love Brandon Ingram, and DeJounte Murray did successfully undergo surgery on his hand. He fractured his hand in Game 1, so he'll be out another 4 to 6 weeks. So it'll be 4 to 6 weeks before he even gets back into the lineup. But when they figure out their chemistry around that whole team, with DeJounte being inserted, I think that they'll be just an amazing team. So I expect them to finish somewhere around the middle of the pack. Hopefully they can sustain what they do, and then it'll be seamless to kind of get him back into the flow of things. I'm not sure if it was his shooting hand or his non-shooting hand, but either way, I know it's going to take him some time to kind of work himself back into a playing rhythm and all that stuff. So hopefully that surgery, and then his recovery doesn't affect, his jump shot, long term, or just his play overall. That has been the basis of this episode. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. There's a full slate of games on today. I believe like 7 or 8 games that start here in about an hour. But man, hopefully your team is doing well so far this season. And if they're not, fret not, man. It's still at like 80 games left. of a very long NBA season. Tap in with me, you know what I mean, in the next episode. Until then, blessings.